Hi, it's Richard. I'm here to talk to you today about something that I only learnt about 2 days ago. It's called, let me see if I can remember it because I'm not very good at fast recall. It is called Rejection Sensitive Dysphoria. Rejection Sensitive Dysphoria. I'm learning about myself and I'd never heard of this phrase, yet I've been doing it all my life. It defines me as a person, and I even mentioned it about a few days ago in the video that I did, my first video. I actually talked about this side of my character, not even realising there was a name for it. Okay, so what is it? Rejection sensitive dysphoria is really the fear of and not handling very well rejection, or the sense of rejection, or the feeling that you're being rejected, even when people aren't. It's your interpretation of events. So you could describe it as a major oversensitivity to being liked, to being wanted or needed, or to feel that people appreciate what you're doing. Because when you feel that you're not getting the right signals, you're not getting the signal that somebody liked what you did, or weren't appreciative of what you did, or are not looking like they need you so much, you start to interpret that very quickly as rejection. Did I not do a good enough job? Are they not liking me? Am I not doing enough? And really fascinating, because I never knew there was a thing for it. I never knew there was a name for it. I never knew it had a thing, it was a title, and that's why I'm giving it to you, because maybe if I've lived my life until I'm 49, and if I've lived my life and not known about this thing, you may not know about it either. Now, it's quite an important thing to talk about, because it's one of the characteristics of ADHD. And I don't want to go into too much detail, but I definitely think I'm a candidate for ADHD club. But I've never been diagnosed. But I think anyone who, if I read through enough literature on it, I get to see that I'm pretty certain it's probably defining what, it's probably a very good reason why a lot of my storylines have unfolded the way they have over my life. I can give you a couple of simple examples. One is customers. I said in my first video, I'm a people pleaser. Classic sign of this kind of condition or mannerism, let's say. People pleaser. Why am I a people pleaser? Well, I'm a people pleaser because I don't want people to dislike me. I've always said it. I have that fear of people disliking me. And I know there's a lot of people that dislike me because I'm very opinionated. I'm very forthright. I talk about my feelings. I've spent 27 years running a business where a lot of that has been online and online conversation, and I've been pushing my opinions and views across. So some people might say, "Oh no, well nobody likes to be disliked, do they? This isn't a thing. This isn't an issue." I think where it becomes an issue is the level in which that you fear this this situation. So, for example, the customer puts a review on my website, and if it's a very nasty review, very bad review, I take it incredibly personally, because I want that person to appreciate what we've done. I want that person to like us. I want that person to have had a great experience. And that rejection, that one-star review is a form of rejection. It's saying, no, you're not what you said you were. You take it very personally. So I contact the customer and speak to them. And if they don't want to solve the problem with me, because I always talk about the silver lining around the cloud. I always think anybody who has a cloud of an experience is in for a treat, because I want to put the silver lining around it. So I always believe in, if there's something if you think of life being balanced, life's balanced, you think, well, negative, then you have the positive that balances it. Didn't know if you see that, my hands were there, I'm not sure where they were. So negative, and then you need the positive to balance it. But what I want to do is I want to do that. I want to shift the balance into the positive. So any form of negativity that occurs, I want to give double back in positivity to make that person, wow, I'm almost grateful that that went wrong, because if that hadn't have gone wrong, I would have never had all that extra stuff, or that extra experience, or that 10% discount next time, or whatever the heck it is. I wouldn't have had Richard falling all over me trying to help me. But for some people that just isn't going to work, because once they have put themselves in the position of being, if you like, the victim, they want to remain the victim. That's it. They're in place. You're a bad guy. Don't ring me. You're a bad guy, so stop ringing me. Even at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm ringing and they don't want to talk to me. I'm not that crazy. No, so I wouldn't ring someone at 1 o'clock in the morning. But this is the reality. It will stick. It will become a like tunnel vision, desperate, and that's the trouble. It's desperate, and that can affect relationships, because if you're desperate, if you change the way you are, if you're so keen to impress people, you're no longer. It can turn people off. It is a bit desperate if you're ringing someone, desperate to make them happy, desperately trying to sort things out. It almost, and for some people, it almost gives them power, because they realise that, hang on, this guy, I clearly know this guy's really feeling bad, but I'm going to make him squirm. So it kind of just doesn't. Sometimes it just doesn't play out the way I want it to, and I've got to accept that you can't always have that relationship that you're striving for, that you're looking for. It also happens with my suppliers, where I normally have very close working relationships, but I find it very difficult, really difficult, to accept when a company, and this is, in business, you're dealing with, it's product you're buying and selling, and why should there be this close emotional relationship between you and the company? There's one company I work with who I have real difficulties, because there is this very professional, very sort of separate life that we lead, where I love the product, I sell the product, think it's wonderful, and I just have to accept that the company and I don't have anything, I don't have anything to connect with them, but I know they don't see the need to be personal with me, to be patting me on the back saying, well done Richard, you're doing a great job, and for whatever reason, now I could get on my, this is what I do, I go, but I'm your number one dealer and I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this, why does no one ever say thank you? It's because that's not why we're in business. They're not, you could argue we're not in business for them to say thank you. They're in business to, they're helping me by supplying me wonderful guitars, and I'm helping them by paying them for them. So they just see that as business. And but I have real trouble with that. I find it really difficult to cope with not having that personal connection. I see it as a form of rejection. Going back to this point, I see it as if, have I done something wrong? Do they think I'm annoying? Do they think I'm a problem? Am I, does my behaviour some way frustrate them, anger them? There must be a reason why they're so unfriendly. And it's, see, I consider it unfriendly. It's not Rich, it's business-like, it's unfriendly. So, that's definitely, rejection sensitive dysphoria. I'm creating that illusion in my head, and it's affecting my relationship, and I've got to overcome that, be a big boy and understand that life's not all about people patting you on the back and saying well done Richard, they're there, so that's my views on that one. In terms of how it links to anxiety, clearly, it should be fairly self-evident. If you spend your life trying to be a better person because you're trying to impress people, and you're trying to shape yourself to please everybody all the time, it can cause great stress, great anxiety. I talk about the fact I've had a breakdown, and which I have. I've had a couple, I've had a few actually, and I don't say that lightly. I'm just making light of serious topic. And but the major sort of breakdown that I had led to me closing my original business, and I actually had to be bankrupt. The lesson I took from that when I restarted was to, it's crazy, even though I've not known the defining terms, I said to myself, you cannot please all the people all the time. And it's important you start learning to do things that please you, and as long as you live your life in a way that you feel you're doing your best, then when things ultimately go wrong, you just have to accept that you've done your best. And you can't keep beating yourself up. You just can't. You have to give yourself credit when credit's due, which is something I never did, and it was something I now do. But it's really important, I think, that for peace and comfort in your life, you've got to understand life won't always be perfect, that things will go wrong. And as long as you're living your life to the standard that you believe is reasonable to expect of yourself, you've done your best. Maybe that's the moral of the story there. And that's one stepping stone to going in the right direction and hopefully moving away from a life of anxiety. One thing I'll just finally say, many subjects to do with anxiety, of this is one tiny little area that might be connected. I feel like I'm hot. I've been out in the cold, and I came in, and I'm by the radiator, and I think I'm boiling up. So sorry if I'm looking like I'm blushing. A lot of anxiety, one thing that is across all of it, it involves thought, the mind, the thinking mind, and which might sound obvious, but you can't be anxious and worried or depressed unless you're thinking about something going on. And this is a subject that I'll talk an awful lot about in the future. You know, it connects to mindfulness and being in the moment, being present. And being present basically means not having a cluttered mind. If you can declutter your mind and you can be fully present, which is so much easier said than done, you will not be worrying about rejection sensitive dysphoria, because it can't exist if you're not thinking about it. Easier said than done, like I say, but if we can all help control our thoughts, control our mind a little bit more, take a bit of control over it rather than letting it control us, we'll all be a lot more peaceful. Okay, right, that's my little bit for the day. Rejection sensitive dysphoria. It connects to ADHD. It's an attribute of ADHD. In my next video, I'm going to talk about, although this is what's on my mind to do for the next video, I'm going to talk about another subject that is linked very much to ADHD, another characteristic of ADHD, purely because in me researching, I found another thing that I know is closely linked to my anxiety, or I believe is connected to my anxiety, which again is ADHD driven. So, and there's a lot of people taking antidepressants who are undiagnosed ADHD. So I think it's quite an important thing. Well, that'll be another topic we'll talk about as well in the future. Okay, all right then. Thanks for watching. Do you look? You see my? Look, it's my bonsai tree. Do you like it? Do you know what that is? Can you tell where that is? You can work that. I'll tell you next time. You might laugh if you know what that's sitting on. I don't know if you can tell in the video. Okay. See you soon. Bye.